to the railroad, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for another weekly layout update. I'm getting really close to having the upper level completely done. I've been working on this area between Granger and Westvaco, and then this week been working on Westvaco proper. Been getting some ballasting done and telephone poles put in. Want to thank all of our members who support the channel, and really want to thank you for your support and encourage others. If you want to become a member, please make sure you do so. It's very much appreciated. It helps progress move along on the railroad. Also, another commercial, wanted to mention some Soundtrax sound decoders, Tsunami 2s. I have some for sale on my website. The URL is in the description of this video. I have some OEM, EMD, also GE, and then I also have some 21 pin plug and play decoders also. They are all Tsunami 2, only $75. They usually are about $125. All right, back to the layout. Did a bunch of ballasting. As you can see, the main line is completely ballasted here, and I'm working on adding ballast to the Westvaco yard. And I just have the ballast spread on the track right here. And I use this little dispenser to put the ballast down. Then I also just use the shaker and just kind of sprinkle it on there also. And then you can see I just got piles of it here and there. And then I have a brush that's about an inch wide, fits right in between the rails. Probably less than an inch, but it's like exactly the same width as the rails. Here I still have some more ballast to add. But then once I put the ballast down, I'll use the brush to spread the ballast out and make sure that there's the ballast is evenly spread out, and then also that the ballast is not up on the rails. So here you can see this is the same area, but now I've used a brush to kind of spread out and evenly spread out the ballast. Want the ties to all be showing, but not too much, if any, ballast on top of the ties, and then definitely no ballast on the side of the rails. See my flood loader there is got discombobulated. I've also used some light gray. It's the first time I used light gray. I wish I had used it from the very beginning. It definitely adds another color to the ballast. The main line is Woodland Scenics Gray, which is a close match to what the Union Pacific uses. And then the ballast for the yard is a half and half mixture of the gray and what they call buff color. And then in addition to that, then I have, and that's also by Woodland Scenics. And then in addition to that, I have, here's the building, I'll just combobulate it. In addition to that, I have the light gray. Now this building, I can take it off, and because I am going to have to actually assemble it completely. I can just unhook the cable there. Definitely a good way to hide the support cable. But I'll take that cable off, remove the building, complete it completely, and then put the cable back through it again. But here's kind of how it looked when it was still dry. Now, I, of course, used some wet water, some water with liquid detergent to wet it down, and then used a 3-to-1 mixture of water to white glue and sprayed that on as well. Gave it 24 hours to dry, and then went in with Bright Boy and cleaned up off the top of the rails, and use my fingernails and the little wooden skewers to, and also the bright boy to get the any ballast off the sides of the rails and remove any loose ballast. Of course, have to do a lot of work on the turnouts to get the ballast out of the flangeways and the points so they can move back and forth freely. But this is getting really close to being done here. The upper level is pretty much completely done. Now that's, of course, when I say done, I mean as far as just doing the basic scenery. There is going to be a lot more work to be done. That one thing, of course, is the buildings need to be completed, and there's going to be additional buildings here as well. There's going to be some transfer conveyors and so forth. Now, I was a little concerned about this backdrop here, where the top of it kind of had some areas where it was kind of bending down. The masonite back behind it was not as wide as the backdrop, so it was not supported there at the very top. So I decided I was going to add a little bit more support there. I had this styrene left over, so I went ahead and cut it to the right length and put some rubber cement on it, brushed it on it, and then let it dry for about 10 minutes or so. It's supposed to do 15 minutes, but I usually put it on a little bit sooner because I want to be able to move it back and move it a little bit. If you wait the full time, it's like once you make contact, that's it. So here I have it on there. You still can kind of see where the top of the masonite is, but at least it's flat. To me, it looks a lot better. And I still have that gap there in the seam. You can see it's kind of pulling away. So I put some rubber cement on there, let it dry, and then here I'm pushing it down, and it definitely takes care of that issue. I have a couple of other places where I need to do that as well. Now, I had a little problem with these switch motors hanging down lower than the fascia. And I've been noticing people who have been visiting the layout or operating on the layout, they kind of look at the switch motors and kind of like, how come that's visible? And I've always had a plan to hide them. And so here's my engineering on getting them hidden. And the first step was to get these blocks in place, and I'm holding them up. I glue them to the plywood, and I hold them up with some skewers. Now here you can see what I'm talking about, where you're standing here and you can see the bottoms of the switch motor. So I wanted to put kind of like a second fascia back there to cover that up. So then once I got those blocks in place, then I had a piece of masonite, or hardboard, I guess I should say. Masonite's a brand name. This is just some hardboard, 1/8 inch hardboard. Went ahead and then glued it to the wood that I glued to the plywood, and then it wasn't really very straight, so I stamped the blue line and used a circular saw very carefully and cut that so it was not as wide as it was before, and it was a little bit straighter. Now here it's pretty obvious that it's there, and it probably is more of a distraction, maybe more distracting than the switch motors. After I was doing all this, I was thinking, well, maybe I should have just painted the switch motors black, and maybe that would have been the way to hide it rather than putting this in. So after doing this, I may change my mind. Here's Patrick Mahomes. He's got a game today. 7th year in a row the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game, and hopefully they'll be in the Super Bowl. Doing this recording while the Eagles are playing Washington, and it's halftime right now. Here I painted it, and when I first looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's you can see it quite a bit, but it's just because it's wet, and you can see the reflection of the LED lights. Here's what it looks like. It's almost dry. There's one little spot there that's still wet, so it looks pretty good with it being dry and the flat finish. The one problem that there is that it's the lights, the LED lights, are in front of it, and so it's kind of lit up a little bit still. Here you can see where the LED lights are, so I might move those LED lights back behind this little fascia here, but definitely does a pretty good job of hiding those switch motors. Now I also put in some more telephone poles. You saw the telephone poles start west of Granger and then go all the way through Granger, and I went ahead and added some more now, and so they are all the way through here. These are just Atlas telephone poles. I painted them dark brown and cut off the bases, and I put them 19 inches apart, which I think was 40 scale feet, which is the standard distance for telephone poles. It really adds to the scene, I think, having that. Now, so I have a long string of telephone poles. It goes from Peru, which is all the way down by the helix. So here's the ones I just put in, and then if you go past these signals, those are ones I put in a long time ago. Those have actual wires on them, and I will continue to put wires all the way, but it runs all the telephone poles run all the way from Peru through Westvaco here, and then all the way past Granger. So almost all the whole upper level has telephone poles, and I am going to string them all eventually. And I'm also going to put telephone poles on the lower level too. But I had just one section of lower level to do, and that's the Echo Canyon. Well, I'm pretty close to getting started on that. And I think one of the first things I'm going to do is put in the crossing gates at Echo. So that will be my third set of crossing gates on the layout. Here we have a international double stack train with 53-foot containers headed up by the Katy Heritage Unit. This upper level is pretty cool, I think. It's all at eye level, so it's a lot of fun to watch the trains go on the upper level. And then in towards Granger. Once I get the Echo Canyon done, I'm going to get all these cars weathered. Alright, so the upper levels basic scenery is pretty much done, completed, and it's time now to finish the lower level at Echo Canyon. I am so close to being done with all the basic scenery and ballasting. Looking so much forward to changing gears a little bit and doing work on rolling stock. Also want to put in another staging yard under Evanston yard, and then of course doing all the detailing on the scenery, which will come up also. So stay tuned for all of that. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Hope you have a great week, Make sure you take some time to cheer on the Chiefs if you're so inclined. And hopefully they'll be in the Super Bowl. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care.